warm welcome to you all. Without further delay, we are pleased to introduce your new manager.
I'm Busco. First off, welcome to my new channel. All my content here is going to be football related. There's going to be a lot of FIFA, a lot of career mode, and I'm really excited because the first series we're going to do, and we're going to do this every year when FIFA comes out, is the Everton Career Mode. This is the club I follow in real life, and I'm really excited to get this started. We're going to bring the Blues back to the glory days of the 1980s, when they won the First Division, the League Cup, the FA Cup, when they won the double in 1985, lifting that European trophy, when it was late Howard Kendall as manager, the likes of Kevin Radcliffe, Nevin Southall, Graham Sharp, Andy Gray, Kevin Sheedy, Harvey Collin, all these great legends they had. We're going to bring that level of success to Everton Football Club. So let's get started. Alright, so let's look at some of our board priorities here. So for youth development, we have medium priority, have at least one player from the first season, play at least half the games in the next season. So depending on who we get in our youth system, there might be enough cup games for this to be doable. Brand exposure is our highest priority, so we need to have 5 games unbeaten at home. And depending on the fixture list, I think the beginning might be our best chance to get that goal done, and sign 3 players from Europe, so yeah, I'll keep that in mind when making signings. Financial is our lowest priority. Keep player salary growth under 15%. Should be doable. And domestic success, Europa League spot, and FA Cup round of 16. Now this is going to be a challenge. I think it's very, very ambitious. Maybe as ambitious as you can be without being deluded. You got to expect City, Chelsea, United, and Liverpool to be favorites for top 4. So we're going to be fighting Arsenal, Spurs, Leicester, and to a lesser degree West Ham. So we got to beat all these teams out to 5th. This is going to be challenging. I like it. Let's have a look at our squad here and set some development plans. I won't go through all the development plans unless I'm specializing a player or correcting a glaring weakness. I like to leave things at balanced. All right, let's look through the goalies first. So we have Pickford, who I'm hoping will be a mainstay. I'm hoping he can stay for the entire series. And if we win something during the series, maybe he can be the second coming of Neville Salva. Maybe. We have Begovic to back him up. Solid goalkeeper. Premier League experience. I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep him in the squad. Maybe 1 season, maybe more, depending on how he plays. And we have Lonergan, who's 64 overall at 37. So I don't think anything more needs to be said about that. Alright, the center backs we actually have 4 decent center backs. So first we got the Twin Towers, Michael Keane and Yerry Mina. And I've set them both on sweeper to increase their sprint speed, their agility, and their stamina, because they're both low in those areas. And in addition, Mina also needs his defensive work rate up to high. So I think that makes sense. It'll round up their deficiencies, and they'll become quite good center backs. Alright, so we have Holgate, who is a ball-playing defender, and he's quite pacey. So I put him on stopper to grow that even further. So we'll have sort of specialized center backs, and we'll be able to apply them in different games. I think it'll be quite interesting. And then obviously we have Godfrey, who has 90 pace. Oh god, this guy's going to be a god. Yeah, this is the second player who I really want to stay with us for the entire series. I think he's going to be really, really good. And then we have our prospects, Jared Branthwaite. Now this is a guy who I'm really interested in bringing to the first team. He's got 5 weak foot at 6'5". He's actually pretty fast and decent defensively already at 19. I really think he can be a mainstay. Maybe not right away, but like maybe in the next few years he can break into the first team. I'm really high on this guy. And then we have Ryan Astley, who again will be loaning a lot of these players out, and I think in general I think we have a youth product at every position here, so it's quite nice. All right, let's look at our fullbacks. Okay, so we have Dean, who is our highest rated player, and he's also pretty damn good. Really good at crossing, modern attacking fullback, and he's our free kick specialist. So we are set for left back. We'll find cover for him, and hopefully a better team doesn't buy him out from us. But yeah, we're set at left back. At right back, we have a problem. Coleman can still do us a job, but he's slow and he has low stamina, and it's just not going to cut it in certain games in the Premier League. So we'll be looking for a long-term replacement at right back. I think most fans would agree that Everton needs someone at right back for the long term. And the backups we have are just not that good. We have John Joe Kenny, who I put him at attacking wide back because if he increases his speed and his crossing, he might be able to do us a job. I feel like he still has a place in this team. And then at left back, we have Delph, who's aging and he's injury prone. So I'm really not... I don't think I'm going to give him too much of a chance. I think he's one of the players we're going to move on here. Yeah, he's probably going to move on. And then we have, again, like I said, every position has a prospect. So we have John. Maybe one of these players will break into the first team at some point. On to our central midfielders. So the way I want to play, and I'll get into the tactics a little later on, but the way I want to play is to have our central midfielders apt defensively and capable of going forward, essentially a sort of box-to-box role. And Alan fits that role perfectly. He's amazing defensively, he's got amazing stamina, he's good technically, and he's got the leadership trait. I want him in this club as long as possible. Great. Beastly. And Doucouré also has really good stamina. He's capable of going forward, decent defensively, and he's a workhorse. So this is exactly the type of player we need. We have our starting central midfielders, I feel, at least for the near future. In terms of our backups, Gbamin is an interesting character because I uptick the injury frequency to 75 on the sliders and injury severity to 40 to simulate the knocks during the season. And I'm a little bit worried for him, but I'm willing to give him a chance. He's really good defensively. I've set him to ball-winning midfielder. I want to have a dedicated defensive-minded midfielder in the squad. So if we can get his stamina up and his defensive work rate to high, I feel like he really will have a place in our squad. Then we have Davies, who is our youth product, and he's pretty well-rounded. If we can get his sprint speed up, again, box-to-box role, if we can get his sprint speed up, the attacking work rate to high, I feel like he'll definitely have a place in our rotation. Now, in terms of Andre Gomes, I'm not sure I want to invest too much into him because he doesn't fit the role. He's not the fastest. He's not the great defensively. Doesn't have great stamina. Low work rate, medium work rate. I think I'm gonna move him on. Maybe I'll give him a chance sometime during the season, but I think I'm gonna move him on. And then obviously we have our prospects. So, we'll probably be loaning these guys out on Yango and Iverson. On to our wide midfielders. Now, this is where I think the squad needs the most work in terms of the transfer window. I think we're quite short in this position. We actually brought in Townsend and Damari Gray because otherwise we would have only had Iwobi and Gordon. Having said that, Townsend is actually decent. He's got decent speed, good ball control, good dribbling, good crossing, good work rates, good weak foot. So he'll definitely be in and around the squad. But I feel like a significant investment in the transfer window in these positions is going to be key. And having said that, we'll start Damari Gray out on the left, probably, or on the right. I don't know yet. But I'm going to be changing him to a center forward and then a striker. The reason being is because I'm going to be bringing in better players in the wide areas, and I feel like with his sprint speed, finishing, shot power, ball control, and dribbling, I actually feel like he could be a very valuable backup striker, sort of coming in, impact sub off the bench. I really feel like he'll grow into that role. So, yeah. All right. Then we have Iwobi, who's a decent little player. Good speed, good passing, and good dribbling. So he'll definitely be part of the rotation. If we get a good offer, I'm definitely willing to listen to offers, depending on what kind of wide midfielders I'll bring in the transfer window. But yeah, he's decent, up for debate. And then we have our prospect, Anthony Gordon. Great speed. Another prospect I'm really high on. Put him on balanced. I'm sure he'll break into the first team at some point. He's decent. All right, and on to our strikers, which I think, honestly, is the strongest point in our team. We've got Richarlison, who 5 weak foot, very little weaknesses, great finishing, great dribbling. I mean, he's going to be a joy to play with. And then we've got Calvert-Lewin, who has 89 sprint speed. Again, I don't know, like this guy's really fast. And then he's probably one of the best headers in the Premier League. I say maybe Ronaldo, maybe Lukaku are better, but this guy's right up there. Like, he is really good. We're going to use him as a target man, sometimes as sort of a mixed role. And I think between Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, if we want to get Europa League, they've got to get like 30 goals, 30 minimum, if we're going to challenge for Europa League. All right, to back him up, we've got Rondon, who is probably a perfect backup for now for Calvert-Lewin at the target man role. Good at heading, decent finishing. And then we got Cenk Tosun, who is like a worse version of Rondon. He's a worse version of Rondon. I feel like that nothing more needs to be said. I think we'll just probably just cash in on him at some point. He's probably not going to feature too much. And then we've got our prospect, again, Sims, Branthwaite, and Gordon. I'm really high on these guys. And hopefully for no money and all, we'll have good players in the squad. And then Dobbin, again, we'll see who will loan out and who will actually, stay for cup rotation. But I feel like we've got a balanced squad with a lot of interesting youth prospects that we can utilize here. Yeah, and there's a few more things I wanted to mention. There's a bunch of players who have power header in our squad, the Twin Towers at the back, and Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin. So we also have Dean, who has 88 crossing, and he's a free kick specialist. So I feel like we should utilize that somehow and, put in crosses, maybe, score some set pieces. I'm not the best at set pieces, but I'll try. I feel like that needs to be utilized. I think the other thing we need to take into account is we don't have a left-footed center back or a left-footed center midfielder. And I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed in the long term. I feel like it's underrated, the ability to play on your more comfortable foot in real life and in the game. Okay, guys, so just to let you know, I will be doing the scouting network, the transfer list, the youth department, all in future episodes. I haven't forgot about that, so stay tuned for that. For now, we're just going to keep going. And we played our preseason tournament. We lost to Barcelona 3-1, tied Lille 0-0, and Udinese 1-1. And yeah, we didn't continue on into the next round. We just got 2 million. I was fine though. I learned a lot about the players. I tried out FIFA 22 because it was my first time playing, and I refined the tactics. We did have an injury to Allen, and I was like, my goodness, here we go. He's going to be out for the beginning of the season. Turns out it was only a 4-week injury, so not bad. And he did come back for the Southampton game. But before we get into the Southampton game, I just want to share with you guys the tactics we're going to be running for the season. And what we're going to be doing is a variation of Sergio Conceição's 4-4-2, which also, of course, merges into his 4-3-3. And now, just overall, we're going to be using a 4-4-2 game sheet. And you're going to have attacking versions of the 4-4-2. And then you're going to be able to morph into a 4-3-3. And vice versa, for the 4-3-3, you're going to have defensive variations of the 4-3-3, and then if you need, you're going to be able to morph into the 4-4-2. Okay, so I'll go through some details on the Conceição 4-4-2, but there's a great Tifo football video on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. It's definitely worth it. But yeah, the Conceição 4-4-2 employs 2 central defensive midfielders, 2 strikers who use their physicality to get goals, and 2 wide players who cut in and operate from the central areas with overlapping fullbacks. So my take on it is I want a balanced defensive style and a balanced offensive style, and I want to see how that works first. I want to play fairly narrow and fairly high. This is a system which doesn't have to be a counter-attacking system. It can be a possession system. I might change it actually to pressure on heavy touch here, just to be a little bit more positive. Same thing with the forward runs. I also want to play very wide because I want to use the width of the pitch, and I want my wide players to stay wide first before cutting in. And I'm going to also employ a number of players into the box and set pieces just because we have a lot of people with power header and some good crossers. All right, so for individual instructions, we're going to put Richarlison to drift wide and to get in behind. I always want him asking questions of the defense, and I always want him intercepting the ball aggressively. Calvert-Lewin is the opposite. He's a target man, staying centrally. And he'll have basic defensive support so that he drops a little bit deeper. In terms of Demarai Gray and Townsend, they're going to have equal instructions, just balanced, so that he doesn't do one thing too much or the other. I want to decide that on my own. And aggressive interceptions out wide. Aggressive interceptions out wide because we want our central players to stay relatively conservative and not get out of shape, which is exactly what's going to happen here. Allen will stay back and he'll stick to his position, and Doucouré will go forward and stick to his position. The fullbacks will be joining the attack and overlapping, but being conservative on their interceptions, and the center backs will just stay default. All right, so for the Conceição 4-4-3, the idea is that we're playing bigger teams and we need an extra man in midfield, right? So we're going to play obviously less deep because we don't want to get caught out against these good teams. We're still going to stick to balanced, and we're still going to have the same width because we do want our wide players stretching the pitch, right? The idea here is that we're going to be playing a little bit more on the counter. So we'll have one dedicated central defensive midfielder, in our case, hopefully Gbamin. The main striker will be mixed, not a target man. He will sort of do a little bit of both. Our wide players will be getting in behind, getting into the box, but supporting runs are going to be mixed, and they're going to be aggressively intercepting just like the other time. Our central defensive midfielders will be set on support, stay back, and go forward. It'll be a mix. There'll be on normal interceptions. The two side ones will be covering the wings. The central one will be staying back and covering centrally. The fullbacks, of course, will be joining the attack and overlapping. They're going to be conservative in their interceptions. And again, the center backs will be default. Okay, so we will get into the game here in just a moment. But first, I'm going to do a small tactical analysis on Southampton. So it seems like they're playing a 4-4-2, and probably they're going to want to keep possession for longer spells and not just counterattack. What we have to watch out for are their strikers. Adam Armstrong, he's 5'8", very quick, very agile. Che Adams is 5'10", a little bit stronger, but again, quick. So we have to watch out for that, maybe combat that in some way. We have to watch out for, obviously, James Ward-Prowse, their main man. He's going to be pulling the strings in midfield. He has very good passing, free kick accuracy, so we're going to have to shut him down. Maybe give him less time on the ball. And we also can't just ignore their wide players. Their wide areas are very solid. They have a very solid team in general, but their wide areas are very solid. Here you got Armstrong, Perot. In terms of how we're going to set up, we're at home. We're the better team here, so we're going to be on the front foot, or at least try to. The only thing I'm going to change is play Holgate instead of Keane or Mina. They're shorter center backs, but because their strikers are shorter, we can afford that, and they're more mobile, so we'll be able to deal with their more mobile strikers.
Will you please welcome our visitors, Southampton, and your very own Toffees, Everton!
Okay, so we really need a good start here, guys. If we're to get Europa League this season, our first home game really needs to be a win. And I told myself I'll give myself a total of 5 seconds to just settle into the game, and then I'm going to go straight up and attack them. And that's exactly what I did. We played a brave ball in here to Calvert-Lewin, laid it off to Townsend here, and he crossed it in, and Richarlison with a goal in the 4th minute. Amazing stuff here, and our tactic worked. We played our central defensive midfielders a little bit away from our strikers. We put a ball into them. Target man, Calvert-Lewin, lays it off with the forward runs of Townsend, and a beautiful header, a power header from Richarlison. So we're utilizing our squad. Excellent. Now, after that, I kind of lost my head. I got a little bit too excited and a little bit sweaty. Oh my God, I'm winning my first game here. So I gave the initiative away, and Southampton had a good chance there. And then they kept on pressing. I just couldn't. It was like a mental block. I couldn't cope with it, and so Southampton got their own counter here. And to be fair, they're a pretty decent side at possession, and they kept it really well. They moved it around. They shuffled it. Defense is actually really difficult, and yeah, they put it in the back of the net. Che Adams, great movement. Ward-Prowse, obviously the danger man. He put that ball in. You know what? It was a good play. Fair play to them. They dismantled me there, and you know, at that point I'm like, you know what? We're the better team here. What's going on? We should be winning this game. And that's when I sort of regained the momentum. Gray picks it up in the middle, starts running. You know what? In his classic fashion, we get a shot away, and you know what? This built up my own momentum, and I'm like, all right, we can do this. We can do this. Let's push. So, yeah, great shot. And actually, this run reminded me of a few weeks ago back in the Premier League. Actually, even last week against United, he had that run for the goal. So, Demarai Gray is an excellent player. I love playing with him. And so we kept on attacking. I'm like, okay, let's give it to Demarai Gray. Let's keep attacking. Let's keep the momentum going. We do another cross. And this time, it's Townsend who gets on the end of it. To be fair, shambolic defending from Southampton for both the goals. I don't know. But Nadek's in there with Salisu. They're tall. They should be getting these headers. They're not getting anything. They're just leaving it. Free headers, free open headers. Look at this. Bang into the top corner. But it's a free header. It's shocking, to be honest. And then we kept on going. Here we go. Some little bit of short passing this time. Not on the wing. We bounces fortuitously here to Townsend, and Perot fouls us in the penalty box. And I'm like, all right, we have a chance at 3-1 here, right? And I'm like, and I'm thinking that, and I'm looking at this replay, and I'm like, okay, that's not even a foul. So we're really fortunate here, especially since VAR's not in the game. And all right, so I'm like, all right, pressure's on, and Richarlison is the player I designated for penalties. And I step up, and I miss it. I missed the penalty. And you know what? I thought about it after. I'm like, you know what? I forgot how to take penalties in this game. I haven't played in a few weeks. And I'm like, yeah, I have to tap it at the right moment. I forgot about that. But yeah, 2-1 at half. And you know what? I didn't let up the momentum in the second half, and I started playing around a little bit more with Richarlison. He's a really good dribbler, and I feel like I underutilized that. So I tried to, and he had a really good chance here. The finish sort of abandoned him, but I was really happy with what I was seeing. And then I made a tactical substitution. I put Bombing in the 64th to play a little bit more off the counter to shore it up. That left Allen open to go a little bit more forward. And look at that beautiful pass into Calvert-Lewin. Clinical finishing from Calvert-Lewin. And that's a goal for both Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison in this season. Great stuff. That tactic clearly works. Another thing that I'm really happy about, because Allen is on the support role when in this formation. So he gets farther forward. And he actually has really good passing. He's probably one of the better passers in the game. So he essentially changes from a bit of a deep-lying playmaker to a more advanced playmaker. And that worked perfectly in this situation. Calvert-Lewin just buries it. The problem is, after this, I don't know if it was complacency or the fact that the computer stepped it up. But Southampton started getting a hold of this game. And Pickford saved us. And you can see from the highlights here, Pickford saves us a number of times. I really couldn't get the ball. I couldn't get out. They pressured high. They got the ball. They had a long spell of possession, and we had to soak pressure like crazy here. Yeah, they had like 6-7 corners. Another save by Pickford. The guy's amazing. I know he's gonna be our Nevin Salval here. But yeah, he's been great. Even in the first half, he pulled off some saves. I was really happy with him. He was bailing us out. Southampton kept pressing, and then they brought Genipo on, and it was just like, I don't know who this guy is, but like, he was really good. I think we should look into buying him, because he gave us a right torrid time. They got him on the ball. He was positive. He's always asking questions, getting into the box. I look at this reflex save Pickford had to pull off. Just unbelievable. Yeah, he gave us a torrid time. And in the end, it was him that broke us down. It was like the third corner in a row. Doucouré cleared it. It came to Gineppo. He laid it off. He got it back on the edge of the box. And you know what? That is what a strike. What a banger from Gineppo. Unbelievable stuff. There was nothing Pickford could have done. As good as he was this game, and he almost got to this. As good as he was this game, though, like you can't expect him to save that. So I wasn't even all that disappointed. But just have a look, just unbelievable. Yeah, he almost had it. He almost had it. But yeah, I thought they would have one more chance at the end of the game, but it wasn't to be. Guys, we got the 3 points in the Premier League. We won our first home game. What a start to the season. What a start to this channel. Guys, thanks for watching.